What's up, everyone? Welcome to Molebron and Dragons. I'm your host, Molebron DaoLockStone. So today we're having another battle report for my Molebron DaoLockStone build, which I've been playing on a Westmarch server called the Forged Concordance, and I think it's super awesome. It's pretty much the biggest Westmarch out there, thousands of players, tons of games, great rule system. I highly recommend it. So all of the relevant information will be in the video description below. Check it out and we can adventure together. So today's adventure was called Ancient Revenge, run by DM Zammot, who did a great job, which I totally expected because this was my third time at Zammot's table, and he is not the sort of DM to hold back and gives really difficult combats, and that's the sort of thing I like in Dungeons & Dragons. I like to have the threat of death hanging over my head. Otherwise, it's just not as much fun. So the adventure starts, like it always does, as Molebron rides in from Viscala, stopping by in Haroon to check in with Novus Deshout and the goings-on in Mydath because of my Genasi connection, and then on to the Forged Concordance headquarters, looking for a gig at the job board. And when I arrived, it seemed that Caspers was putting a team together. And Caspers is someone that I know and love because in a previous adventure, which I did not make a video about, Molebron got killed by a storm giant quintessent in a fierce underwater battle, and it was Caspers that was on the scene to revivify me. So yeah, definitely one of my favorite people, and he was assembling a team for a gold mission. Now I'm only a silver badge, but I'm always happy to punch up, even though gold missions can be kind of dangerous. Recall that I did a copper mission at Zammot's table not too long ago, where I brought in a team of baby steel punch-ups into a copper mission, and yeah, that got pretty hairy and dangerous. So a gold mission this time from Zammot's table, I felt, yeah, it could be really dangerous. So felt good to have Caspers on board, but Caspers was very nervous, very anxious, because he wasn't getting very many golds for this gold mission. He was having to bring in a bunch of silver punch-ups. And so yeah, I was like, hey dude, we're going to be okay. We'll be fine. Even though I wasn't quite sure myself, but I wanted Caspers to feel good about the team. Caspers is a human artillerist diviner, by the way. And so Caspers finished assembling the team. It was a 6-man team. So besides me and Caspers, it was Vakesa, and forgive me if I mispronounce that, it's spelled oddly, who was a Spring Eladrin Ranger type, who was Casper's girlfriend in the game, which was cool. And she had like a primal companion, so like a pet plus, called Skylar, which looked like a winged snake. And the rest of the team was Oak Brown, who is a half-orc barbarian who's decked out in a Lord's ensemble, so you really can't tell anything about him, but that's a really cool item and very distinctive. And I fought with Oak Brown before and knew that he was very capable. Then there was also Percival, who was a human Kensei blade singer, who I hadn't adventured with before, but I was looking forward to it. And then we had Vargan, who was an orc battle master. And I think that's everyone, right? Me, Caspers, Vakesa, Vargan, Oak Brown, and Percival. Yep, all 6. So that was the team, and we headed out to Green Mountain to meet the client, one Bellman Firefeast, who it turned out to be a dwarf once we met up with them, that was out for revenge, hence the title Ancient Revenge. So apparently what had happened was that he came from like a clan of dwarves that had like a really cool underground complex, but one day a flaming meteor came out of the sky and crashed nearby, and the next thing you know, everyone in that complex is dead. And Bellman was not on site, but was quite traumatized by these events and has been saving his money for a long time to hire mercenaries to go clean it out for him, and so he can regain his family or clan property. And apparently he tried to go cheap and went with our rivals, the Red Claws, first, but they sent in 2 different teams, and nobody ever came back. So finally he had to go to the premium option in the Forged Concordance, and was hiring a gold team, which ain't cheap, to clear this out. Unfortunately, he didn't have too much intel. Obviously, he would have shared it with us if, since he wanted us to succeed. But since nobody had ever come back from, exploring the place, he had no idea what was going on down there. Just knew that it was super dangerous, enough to kill 2 teams of mercenaries already, and so we needed to be careful. And so he led us to the complex, and we had to go deep underground to get there. It was like a big ladder that took us down, and then it went further down from there. And so, yeah, we arrived and we went in right away, and we knew that it was kind of dangerous up front, so we were on our guard, and being careful, Bilbron sent Fargar, his imp familiar, although I've reskinned him as more of a little Dao, to scout out the next room. And it seemed like a pretty big chamber with some like natural walkways that were, like raised stone. Maybe it was excavated. I don't know. It didn't look like it was work to me. But there was like a river running down the center of it. You see the map. And I sent Fargar looking around. He didn't see anything. And then I sent him into the water, because I always send Fargar into water or lava, because I've just learned a lot of times stuff pops up out from those places, and you want to be ahead of the game. And Fargar got killed immediately. So we did know that something was down there. And so, we went in, and at, one point, something yelled out, Storm of Vengeance, which is a 9th level spell. And personally, I wasn't too familiar with it, because I'm actually not all that familiar with the 9th level spells, because I never ever get to cast them, and very rarely see them implemented. But yeah, that sounded pretty ominous, a Storm of Vengeance. And then a giant freezing fog appeared. And so we couldn't see anything, and we couldn't hear anything, because pretty much everyone failed their save against the Storm of Vengeance, which deafens you for 5 minutes. So we couldn't really talk to each other or communicate, and that wasn't good. And so basically our marshals had kind of gone into the cavern. Most of the back line, which was hanging back. And so this thing, definitely kind of separated us. And then we were really worried about the Storm of Vengeance. And then a giant freaking water elemental thing appeared. And it was like way worse than water elemental. It turned out to be something called an Olhydra. But yeah, it wasn't that great. Now, Casper's was a star. Right away, she did a Dispel Magic on the Storm of Vengeance, and with a little help from Flash of Genius, was able to get rid of it. And then she had, like a wind fan, and was able to create a gust of wind that blew out a lot of the freezing fog that this thing had created. And so this thing immediately attacked the back line. Bilbron got a little worried because Casper's could revivify and Vakesa could revivify, and then Casper's had given Bilbron an Ion Stone of Reserve that had Revivify in it. So we were like the 3 that could cast Revivify, but we were all on the back line, and the Olhydra immediately started attacking us. And so Bilbron threw up a wall of stone with no openings that completely sealed it off, and that blocked the Olhydra and separated it from Vargan, who had gotten grappled by it. But that left Oak Brown and Percival in that room together without us to support them. And I was just going to keep it up for 1 round, and presuming that Oak Brown could and Percival could draw that thing back into the room, and then our backline could get into the positions that they wanted, and then I could drop it. But Oak Brown unleashed this insane action surge where he did 161 damage to it, which took half of its health off right away. And Percival was doing his thing. And then once I dropped the Wall of Stone, then, Vargan got involved, Vakesa got involved, and we managed to win that battle without too much difficulty. not too many injuries, and not too many resources used. So awesome. And we decided not to take a rest since not too many people were shot, although Bilbron had used both of his spell slots at that point. So it was like had to use his Rod of the Packkeeper to get one back. And then we investigated further, and we found another room. And here again, Caspers did really well. He investigated the ground before we actually entered into this particular area. And good thing, because it turns out there was this gigantic ooze monster in there, which I later found out was called a white maw. And because nobody had really stepped on it, it really didn't do much. It like attacked one person and did some damage and destroyed a little armor, and everybody else just unloaded on it, and this was literally a one-round battle. So cool. Then we went further into the complex, and here we had to go like deep down, like deep down, like 200 feet down into this hole with a ladder that we had found. And then we pushed ahead, and we came across this massive cavern that had like this zigzaggy path that was kind of like ascending as we went through it. And I've shown the map, but you might not be able to see it all because it was so big that my vision range might not show the whole thing. But this battle did not go well for Bilbron. Now, we knew there was going to be battle because we could hear like animal sounds, like braying and, you know, bleeding and all of that in there. But we didn't really know what to expect. And it was such a big cavern that it was hard to know where the danger was going to come from. So Bilbron set himself up flying in an area where he thought he had pretty decent position. But out of nowhere comes this cyborg-looking thing, which I later found out was called a Nivix Cyclops. And it smacked Bilbron and then ran down further to engage the rest of the party. And I got off like a readied action against it because I actually rolled good initiative for once, and but I couldn't see anything, so I had to ready actions. And so this thing came popping out. I shot my Eldritch Blast at it that I had readied. And that was the last thing I got a chance to do, because before my next turn came around, I got lair action teleported like way to the north of this cavern, and then I immediately got dogpiled by a Theron Chimera, which hit me with a headbutt and a tail spike and a flaming breath weapon, and then which took me down super low. And then I got attacked by another Theron Chimera, which unleashed its full attack sequence at me, which put me into death saves. And then a Balhanoth appeared, which was this crazy powerful demon that had the teleport lair actions and stuff. And it went and like grappled and restrained Oak Brown, but then it dragged its ass back over to my dying body just to get the death blows in. So boom, I was dead before I even had a chance to take a second turn. So yeah, fortunately the party was there to carry me, and it was a pretty funny battle to watch. I mean, I was dead, so I was actually like not feeling too much pressure since there wasn't anything I could do, and it was a very entertaining battle to watch. And the team was strong, and they managed to beat all of these enemies: the Balhanoth, the two Theron Chimeras, and the Nivix Cyclops. And then Caspers revivified Bilbron. So just such a weird coincidence. 2 times I've died, 2 times I've needed to be revivified, and in 2 separate adventures, and both times it was Caspers hooking a brother up. So yeah, I feel like I owe this guy a lot. Don't mess with Caspers, man, or you're going to have Bilbron in your face. So I pretty much had to take a short rest at this point. We felt some time pressure, by the way. We didn't feel like we could take all that many short rests because we could feel this ominous evil presence in the air, and it was just getting more and more intense the longer we were there. But I came back with like 1 hit point and no slots, so I pretty much needed a short rest. So we took a short rest, and everybody got back pretty much to full. And then we went on to the next encounter. And Bilbron was feeling pretty bad about his performance so far. I didn't really have much of an impact in the first battle. I contributed to a dog pile in the second battle, and then I got killed in the first round before I really could do anything in the third battle. So, yeah, actually at one point I even made a joke where I was like, yeah, you guys need to start pitching in. I'm getting kind of tired of carrying this team. Because I had literally done jack up until that point. But I did redeem myself somewhat in the fourth battle. This battle was much more controlled for us, because I was able to summon an Earth Elemental, and then I sent it with its Earth Glide in to scout the next room, because it also has Tremor Sense, so it can kind of get a sense of, where creatures are located and how many there are and stuff, even without ever actually surfacing to get a look at the room. And then he came back and kind of told us that there was just like one thing in there. So I had him attack from underneath the ground, tried to get surprised, but he just rumbled too much and didn't surprise the creature. But he immediately engaged. And then once the elemental engaged, then everybody else was able to swarm into that room, take up positions, and it worked really well. Because it turned out there was actually three things. The first thing that my elemental attacked was a Yugoloth of some kind. It was a Hydroloth, I believe. And then also this gigantic frog thing appeared, which I later found out was called a Froghemoth. And then at some point, this gigantic worm thing with multiple heads popped out, which I later learned was an Iron Scale Hydra. But they were literally all bunched around my Earth Elemental, trying hard to kill it. The Hydroloth unsuccessfully tried to spell magic against it 2 times, and everything else was beating on it, but Earth Elementals have resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing. They've got a stack of hit points, like 120 or something. Plus, it had some temporary hit points from Casper's Artillerist Cannon. So it was standing in, and it tanked for a good 2 rounds, drawing the attack sequences of all of those creatures, and everybody else was able to get some good attacks in, get to the positions that they wanted. Bill Braun basically soloed the Hydroloth with some great Eldritch Spear hits, and my Elemental was just pounding on it the whole time. So that battle went pretty well, by the book for once. Send in a disposable summon, it attracts all the attention of the bad guys. Our team is able to get into position, we pour on spells, ranged attacks, the marshals get close to do their great weapon master stuff. It worked like a charm. So we did well. And that was the 4th battle that we had done, and having taken only 1 short rest, I had been managing my slots because of all of this time pressure and this uncertainty as to whether we were going to get short rest or not. And so I had 1 slot left, and everybody else was feeling pretty good, so we decided not to take another short rest and move into the last room, because even though we'd gone through 4 battles, we could still feel that ominous evil presence in the air. So we came to an absolutely ginormous cavern. It was about 150 feet north-south and like about 120 feet east-west. You see the pictures, and it was marked by all of these like natural raised platforms that were almost like stepping stones. And then all the way at the north of it, we found a sarcophagus. And so we more or less figured, yeah, the bad guy's probably in there. So we all took positions, and this time Bill Braun was like all the way at the back of the room, leveraging extreme range to, try and not die this time. And we disturbed whatever was in the sarcophagus, and out pops this ugly monstrosity that's psychic, and it's like screaming in our heads. And it said, come help me, my loyal supporter. And out popped this thing with a ginormous mouth, which I later found out was called the Hungry. And this dude that we had disturbed, who was like the big bad, turned out to be a lesser star spawn emissary. And they were really tough. The Starspawn Emissary was resistant to force damage, so that's always pleasant when you are a warlock. But it killed Caspers, like dead. And then it did the same to Oak Brown. And in the meantime, the Hungry was like engaging Vakesa and Percival and Vargan. And I was like hiding in the back and trying to pour on damage. I mean, I kept pouring on damage onto the Starspawn Emissary, even though it was resistant to force, because what else am I going to do? I mean, it adds up. I have that extra bludgeoning damage from Genie's Wrath. And then I put an aberration into the field so that we could, do more damage, get a little more firepower out there. So we were whittling it down while it was in the process of killing Caspers and Oak Brown. And the other guys were hanging on and doing pretty well against the Hungry. So, Bilbron managed to get the kill shot on the Starspawn Emissary, and then I think it was Percival that got the kill shot on the Hungry, and bada bing, bada boom, we made it. We could feel the air, clear up from that evil presence that we had been feeling. We searched the whole area. We found the remains of the Red Claw mercenary groups that had come in, and within the sarcophagus, we found a couple of things. So, including like a scissors of shadow snipping, which was really weird. Cool item. It's a new item. First one on the server, I believe. So that was cool. So we went back to Bellman Fire Feast and reported our success, and he was tickled pink. And then we all headed back to the Forged Concordance headquarters to receive our badges for mission success, and then hit the town and get our drink on and our steak on. Because, 3 of us had died on this mission. Me, Caspers, and Oak Brown. But everyone was revivified, and, our death save DC increased a little bit. But other than that, we, had a bonding moment. We were got our butts kicked and killed gang for the evening. So, Bilbron made 10th level based on this adventure. Always awesome. Very excited to add Sanctuary Vessel and switch some invocations and spells around. So thank you so much to DM Zammot for providing yet another amazing session for me. Can't wait to play this table again. Thank you so much to the team for helping me get through it, basically carrying me in that first battle, totally carrying me in that third battle when I got killed. Thanks to Caspers for revivifying me again. And thank you so much for watching. This has been Bilbrons and Dragons. I'm your host, Bilbron DaoLockStone. See you next time.